Hello. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Uh, Voice is audible to you? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, good morning. Shall we begin the session? Yes, in the last class we have started with the one of the next module, that is a revision of the system of the revision of the website designing. Now I'm going to continue with the same, that is the next topic, elements of a system. Or what are the various elements that is distributed for a system? So shall we begin or shall we wait for others? Okay, so in most of the cases, the system analysis or analyst, who is a system analyst, that is used for the development, so that operates in a dynamic environment where it is a way of the life. So it is used in a dynamic environment where change is a way of the life, and environment may be a business firm, that may be a business application or a computer system. And to reconstruct a system, the following key elements must be considered. What are the various outputs and the inputs? Then what are the various processors? Then control, feedback, environment, boundaries, and the interfaces. So these are the various elements that is available to reconstruct or to construct a system. Now, what are the various elements? First is the outputs and the inputs. Then next one is the processors. The next one is a control. The next one is a feedback. The next one is the environment. The next one is the boundaries and the interfaces. So let's talk about the output and the input. So what are the various output that is given? What are the various input that is presentable or that is used over here? So first is the output. That means whatever the output that is presented over here, whatever the output that is available over here. So a major objective of a system is to produce an output that has a value to its user. That means that provides a value to the customer, that provides a value to the users. Whatever the nature of the output, that may be a good, that may be a services, information, it must be line in the system. It must be line in the So next part is the outputs and the inputs. So that is the major objective of a system, that is to produce an output that the value is to its customer or the user. Whatever the nature of the output, that may be a good, services, information, that must be in line with the expectations of the intended users, and the inputs are the element that may be material, that may be human resources, that may be information that enters the system for the processing. Then next part is the output, that is also the outcome of the processing, that a system feeds on the input to produce the output in such a way, in much the same way that a business brings in the human, financial, and the material resources to produce the goods and the services. And that is very important to point out here, that determining the output is the first step. So whenever we are determining the output, that is the first step in specifying the nature, in specifying the amount, in specifying the regularity of the input that is needed to operate a system. For example, in the system analysis, the first concern is to determine the user's requirement of a proposed computer system. That means what is the main requirement of the computer system, that is a specification of the output that the computer is expected. What we expect from the computer, that is the main thing for the user's requirement. The next one is a processor, that is the element of a system that involves the actual transformation of the inputs into the output. So that is the element of a system that brings or that involves what is the actual transformation of the input into the output. And that is the operational component of a system, and processor may modify the input totally or the partially, that depends on the specification of the output. So what is the specification of the output? That depends, that modify the input totally or partially, that depends on the specification of the output. That means, or this means, as we draw or as the output specification change, so that's the processing. So whenever the specification changes, automatically the processing will change. And in some of the cases, the input is also modified to enable the processor to handle the transformation. What is the transformation that is enabled? So that input is also required, that input is also given to enable the processor to handle the transformation. The next part is a control. That element guides the system, and it is a decision-making subsystem that makes or that enables the users to put out the control. That means there is a control on the input, there is a control on the processing, control on the output. And when we say about the organizational context, management as a decision-making body controls the inflows, handling and outflow of the activities that affects the welfare of the organization, welfare of the business. And in a computer system, the operating system and accompanying software influences the behavior of a system. What is the behavior of the system? That influences the behavior, that influences the output. And when we say about the output specification, that determines what and how much input is needed. So one is the what is the operating system, what is the combination that is required for the for this business. One is a behavior that is dealt out or that is used whenever we are using the specification or whenever we are using the term that is available for the specification that is used with the specification. So in most of the systems, in a computer system, the operating system and the accompanying software influences the task, influences the software that is used with the specification that is used with the behavior. What is the behavior of the business that is involved over here? What is the usage of the business that is involved over here? So output specification determines what and how much input is required or needed to keep the system in balance. And in the case of the system analysis, knowing the attitude of an individual who are concerned, who controls the area for which a computer is being considered, can make a difference between the success, what is the main success between the system, failure of the installation. And there is a management support that is available that is used to make the system to make the chargeable system that is available in the system. And also the management support is also required for securing the control and supporting the objective of the proposed system. What is the proposed system? How to control it, how to manage them, or what is the main objective of the proposed system. The next is the feedback. So whatever the control that is available, so control in a dynamic system is achieved by the feedback. That measures the output against a standard in some form of cybernetic procedure that includes communication and the control. What is the communication? What is the control that is included in the cybernetic procedure? And whenever we say the output information that is fed back to the input or to the management, that is the controller for the deliberations. And after the output is compared against the performance standards, so changes on can result in the input or processing and consequently the output. Whatever the changes, whatever the input, whatever the processing that is available within the output. Now, feedback may be of two types. That may be a positive feedback, that may be a negative feedback, that may be a routing feedback, that may be a informational feedback. So, feedback may be positive, that may be negative, that may be routing, that may be informational. Now, when we say about the positive feedback, that reinforces the performance of the system. What is the main performance of the system? That is occupy, or what is the main performance that affects the performance of the system or that is used with the system. That means whenever we say that there is a positive feedback, that means everything is okay, everything is doing well. Wow, great. That is routine in nature. But when we say about the negative feedback, that generally provides the controller with information for the action. That means what is action? What is to be taken out? So that is the negative feedback that provides the controller with the information for action. And when we say about the system analysis, that feedback is very important in different ways. And during analysis, the user may be told that the problem in a given application verify the initial concern. Initial concern in the sense, initial data that is available for the terms and also justifies the need for the change. Another form of feedback comes after the system is implemented, after the system is used, and the user informs the analyst about the performance of the new installation, new usage. And this feedback often results in a criteria, often results in a method that fulfills the content. So that results in an enhancement to meet the user's requirement. Now, next is the environment that is used. So that environment will be used that is used as a supra-system or the super system within the organization operates. And it is the source of the external element that imping on the system that uses on the system. In fact, it often determines how a system must function, how a system must operate, or how a system must be used. So whatever the organization, whatever the environment that consists of the vendors, that consists of the competitors and others that may offer or that may also provide the constraints and consequently influences the actual performance of the business. The next is the boundaries and the interfaces. Whatever the boundaries, whatever the interfaces that is used, so that is used with the, we can say the a limit or interface means how the system interact with each other. So a system should be defined its bias boundaries, the limit that identify its component, processes, and interrelationship when it interfaces with another system. For example, when you see about the teller system in a commercial bank, that is restricted to the deposits, that is restricted to the withdrawals and the related activities of the customer, checking and the saving account, that may exclude the mortgage, foreclosure, trust activities, and so on. Now, every system has boundaries that determines its sphere of the influence and the control. For example, when it's about the integrated banking, wide computer banking design that is used with a customer that has a mortgage, that have a checking account with the same bank, that may write a check through the teller system to pay the premium that is later processed by the mortgage loan system. What is the mortgage loan system? That is a boundary that is used over here. Next part is what are the various types of system that is used. So just wait that is available. So when we say that there are various types, now the system is divided into the multiple parts within one view or the view that is available, or that views a system that is related to the use of the system approaches for the analysis. Now the system has been classified into three different ways or into different phases. And now some classification or the common classifications are, first one is physical or abstract, then second one is open or closed. Third one is man-made information system. So one is a physical or the abstract system, then open or the closed system, then man-made information system. So physical system are tangible entities that may be static or the dynamic in operation. For example, when you say about the physical parts of a computer center, that are the officers, desk, yes, officers, desk, chair that facilitates the operation of a computer. And they can be seen and counted. They are static in nature. In the contrast, when you say about the program computer, that is also dynamic system. Data program output and application also changes as the user demands or the priority of the information requested changes. When we say about the abstract system, they are the conceptual or the non-physical entities. They may be used as a straightforward or the formulas of the relationship among the set of the variables or the models, the abstract conceptualization of the physical situation. And when you say about the model, that is a representation of the real object or the planned system. So the use of the models makes it easier for the analysis to visualize the relationship in the system under the study that is used. So the main objective is to point out the significant elements. What is a significant element that is considered, and what are the various key interrelationship of a complex system. This is the physical of the abstract system. One is a physical, one is abstract system. The next one is the open or the closed system. So another classification of the system is based on the degree of their interdependence or independence. And when we say about the open system, that has many interfaces with the environment, there are many challenges with the environment, many interfaces with the environment that permits the interaction across its boundary. It receives the input from and delivers output to the outside. The information falls into the category since it must adapt to the changing demands of the user. And in contrast, when you say about the closed system, that is isolated from the environmental influences, whatever the influences that is considered. And in reality, when we say about the completely closed system, that is very rare to find because there is no complete system that has no boundary, that has no limitation, that has non-limitation, because everything is system limitation. So that is very difficult to find. Now, when we say about the Gantt chart, there are multiple departments that is used with the Gantt chart. This is the number of the workers, stamping, sending, assembly, painting. And the focus on the characteristics of open system is particularly timely in the bright system in the light of the present day-to-day business concern with the computer fraud, invention of the privacy, security control, and the ethics in the computing. And whereas the technical aspects of deals with their internal routine activities with the users, application area, system analysis as an open system tend to expand the system, to involve the system, then that is used with the business area, that is used with the user area and the others to environmental factor that must be considered before a new system is finally approved. And furthermore, that is being down or open to suggestions that implies that the analyst has to be flexible and the system being designed to be responsive to the changing needs of the user and the environment. Now, what are the various characteristics of the open system that are identified? One is the input from outside. Open system are self-adjusting and the self-regulating. When we say about the open system that is the functioning properly, then open system reaches a steady state or the equilibrium that is used in the entire firm in the usage of the firm. And whenever we say about the increase in the cost that is of the goods, that forces a comparable increase in the prices or decrease in the operating system. Then entropy, that all dynamic systems tend to run down over the time, resulting in the entropy or the loss of the energy that by seeking the new input or to modify the processes to return to a steady state. Then process, output and the cycle that must produce a useful output that must produce or operate in a cycle that must be available following a continuous flow path. Then differentiation, that has a tendency towards an increasing specialization of the functions and greater differentiation of their components. And in business, the role of the people and the machine tends toward greater specialization and the greater interaction. Then equifinality, that means the goals are achieved through the different courses of the actions and a variety of the method. And in most of the system, there is more of a consciousness on the goals than on the path to reach the goals. And understanding the system characteristics that also helps the system to identify their goals, their roles, and also identify the activities that are undertaken to achieve the target. For note down the, or we can say the system is more efficient by modifying its goals or the changing the inputs. Then third, yes, we have done with the physical, we have done with the logical. Then next is the man-made. Basically, this reduces the uncertainty about the state or an event. For example, when we say about the information about the wind that is calm, reduces the uncertainty about the boat trip that will be very present, that will be used. An information system is a basis for the interaction, whatever the data that is available between the user and the pleasant. And when we say about the information system, that is a basis for the interaction between the user and the analyst that provides the intuition, that provides the instructions, commands, and the feedbacks. That determines the nature of the relationship among the decision maker, whatever the decision maker decision that is controlled by the decision makers. That must be viewed with the decision makers. And in fact, it may be viewed as a decision center, whatever the decision center that is available for viewing the or personal at both the levels, at all the levels we can say. And from this basis, all the information system, whatever the information system, whatever the criteria that is available, that each and every information system may be defined as a set of the devices, procedures, and so on criteria for the changing environment, for the looking environment. And in system analysis, it's important to keep in mind that considering an alternative system means improving one or more of its section. So whenever we improve one or more section that is available, that is very important to keep the track of each and every system. Keep the track means whatever the man-made system, whatever the man-made information system that is considered, that is also considered as a man-made system. Now, many practitioners fails to recognize that a business has several information systems. Next is formal information system. A formal information system is based on the organization represented by the organization chart, and this chart is a map of the position. Like we have studied about the PERT and the CPM chart, so that contains a various chart, that contains a multiple chart that is represented by the organization chart, and this is the map of the position and their authority relationship. That is indices by the boxes and connected by the straight line that is concerned with the pattern of the things, pattern of the authority, communication, and the workflow that is available in this one. So when we say about the formal information system, that is based on the organization perspective, that depends on the organization charts. And this chart is map of the positions, whatever the consideration that and their authority relationship. What is their authority relationship that is considered? That is indices by the boxes, that is connected by the straight line, and that is concerned with the pattern. What is the pattern that is used with authority, communication, and the workflow that is disseminated by the instructions, memo, or anything. Next is the system model. What are the system model that is used? One is the schematic model. Then flow system model. What is the flow system model? That is represented by the PERT, program evaluation and the review technique, that is the PERT. CPM, that is common program file. Then system input or the system unit. This model exhibits one pair of relationships such as the activity, time, or the cost quantity. That Gantt chart that provides a static picture of an activity, that is a time relationship. And when it's about the planned activity, that is a stamping, sending, that are plotted in relation to the time that are shown over here. And whatever the relation, whatever the dynamic system, whatever the dynamic model that is used over here. Then next one is the categories of the information. Whatever the categories that is available, so that is used with the categories that is used as a tool with a system category. With the configuration category. So it consists of the input, whatever the input that is used. So whatever the input, whatever the data that enter the system, the processor through which the transformation takes place, the programs or the program that is required to process the output that results from the processor. The program that is required for processing and the output that results from the processing. Now, next is what are the various categories of the information that is required. So what are the various categories means what are the various ways by which we can access the categories by which we can access the material. So that category will surprise you. That category will use as a data that is used, what are the program file that is required for the processing and the output that is required or that results from the processing. That is the output that occupies whatever the data, whatever the tool, whatever the scenario that is available over here. Now, first is the categories of the information. There are three types of categories, or there are three categories at the managerial level and the decision maker that makes. The first is the strategic information that relate to the long range planning policies, which are of the direct interest to the upper management, such as population growth, DSS, that information is DSS, that is decision support system. And second level is managerial information, that is direct use of the middle management and the departmental head for the implementation and the control. That example includes the sales analysis, system data, cash flows, cash organization, day-to-day routine activities, rules, regulation that is available, and the overdue purchase or the orders and the current stock available. That is known as a DPS, data processing system. Now, this is one of the examples that shows how the managerial and the information level in the typical organization, right? Then MIS, that is management information system, that is also computer-based system. Next is the TSS. So this DSS I'm going to continue within the next class, that is in the tomorrow's class. So if there is any doubts, any confusion till now or in the today's class, then please ask the doubts. And in the next class, that is tomorrow's topic, is the DSS, that is decision support system. All right. So bye bye everyone. One more thing is that please submit the assignments on the time, because assignments are very crucial for this one, because there is no final exam, there is nothing. But these assignments are, we can say, your result, your further certification, everything that you want. So please submit the assignment. Please submit the assignments on the time. All right. Any other doubts, anyone? All right. So we will meet tomorrow with a new topic, that is DSS. So thanks a lot, everyone. Bye bye. Yes, this DSS also faces a challenging of selling out the MIS. That MIS report will be taken out with the data. That is, there are various advantages by which we can access. So our application have a centralized file. Centralized means the same file. Storage space duplication is eliminated. Data are stored once in a database and are easily accessible with the processing time. With